What if the person who guided your faith led a double life of crime? In the bustling city of Nairobi, Pastor Kenneth was revered by his congregation. The charismatic leader of the sprawling Light of Salvation Church, he was known for his fiery sermons, boundless charity, and a reputation for guiding wayward souls back to the path of righteousness. But behind the pulpit, Pastor Kenneth lived a chilling double life, a life filled with danger, deception, and blood. Pastor Kenneth's Sunday services were packed, his booming voice commanding attention as he preached about forgiveness, humility, and the power of faith. From humble beginnings, he had grown the church into one of the largest in the city, attracting politicians, celebrities, and ordinary citizens alike. He was often seen giving to the poor, visiting hospitals, and mediating disputes in the community. Kenneth was a man of God, the epitome of virtue, or so everyone believed. By night, Pastor Kenneth transformed into Black Moses, the feared leader of a ruthless gang that controlled a significant portion of Nairobi's underworld. The gang was involved in everything from robbery and extortion to smuggling contraband across borders. Kenneth's deep understanding of human psychology, honed during his years as a preacher, made him a master manipulator. He knew how to inspire loyalty, silence dissent, and evade suspicion. His sermons were often laced with coded messages to his gang members, hidden in plain sight amidst the scriptures. Kenneth's dual life was carefully managed, but cracks began to form when a botched heist brought unwanted attention. One of his gang members, a hot-headed recruit named Paul, panicked during a robbery and shot a security guard. The guard survived and identified Paul, leading to his arrest. Kenneth worked quickly to silence Paul, arranging for a motorcycle accident that ensured he would never talk. But the police were already closing in, and a new detective, Inspector Margaret, was determined to bring the gang down. Inspector Margaret was sharp and unrelenting. Her investigation into Black Moses and his gang led her to unexpected places, including the Light of Salvation Church. She began noticing connections, strange alibis, unaccounted wealth, and anonymous donations that matched the gang's stolen funds. But no one dared to question Pastor Kenneth. He was untouchable, a man of God. Kenneth grew paranoid as Margaret's investigation intensified. He began eliminating anyone he thought might betray him, including loyal members of his gang. His sermons became darker, warning of divine wrath and the wages of sin. Margaret, determined to prove her suspicions, infiltrated the church. Disguised as a struggling single mother, she attended services, earning Kenneth's trust. Over weeks, she noticed subtle signs, cryptic phrases in his sermons, secret meetings in the church basement, and whispered conversations with unfamiliar men. One night, she followed him after a late service. Kenneth drove to a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of the city. From her hidden vantage point, Margaret watched as he met with his gang, handing out assignments and counting cash. She recorded everything. Armed with evidence, Margaret planned a raid on the church during a Sunday service. She knew it would be controversial, but she also knew Kenneth wouldn't go down without a fight. As Kenneth delivered his sermon, the church doors burst open. Police officers swarmed in, their guns drawn. The congregation screamed in confusion and fear as Margaret stepped forward. "Pastor Kenneth, you are under arrest for leading a criminal syndicate, theft, and conspiracy to murder." Kenneth's face darkened, but he didn't resist. Instead, he raised his hands and addressed his flock. "Brothers and sisters, this is a trial from the Lord. Pray for me, for I am but a humble servant in the face of adversity." Kenneth's arrest shocked the nation. His trial was a media circus, with revelations of his crimes leaving his followers in disbelief. Some refused to believe the allegations, convinced it was a plot against a man of God. In court, Kenneth maintained his innocence, but Margaret's evidence was irrefutable. He was sentenced to life in prison, his church dissolved, and his assets seized. In the darkness of his cell, Kenneth still preached to his fellow inmates, refusing to abandon his persona. But in Nairobi, the story of Pastor Kenneth became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the holiest figures could harbor the darkest secrets. Inspector Margaret, hailed as a hero, moved on to her next case, knowing that Nairobi's streets were a little safer with Black Moses behind bars.